Good evening. It is great to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity and invitation to come and tell you what God is doing and you are a part of on the island of Hispaniola. Got to get a couple of things out of the way. Debbie sends her love. Sorry she couldn't be here tonight, but she sends her love to everybody, and hopefully next time, if you let me come back, maybe she'll be with me. Austin Oakley is my bodyguard and fact checker tonight. I'm glad he's here. And Rodney and Paige came in. Rodney said he's here. The elders sent him here from Stony Point, where we attend, to check up on me. I don't know if that's right or not, but could be true. I don't know. No, but we've had a good day, hadn't we? We had a great day with our family day, and we're glad to end up the day by being here with all of you. Our work is the Liberte Ministries. It is sponsored by the Petersville Church of Christ. It's a work that you've been involved with for many, many years. You've been involved with Harry and that work, and so Harry and us, we work together. So that's, you may not have known it by this name, but you've been involved in this work for many, many years. We started 16 years ago working in Haiti primarily, and most people know where that is, and now, as we'll talk about, and I mentioned to you last time I was here, we've begun to work on the eastern side of that island in the country of the Dominican Republic. If you keep up with the news, and sadly Haiti doesn't make the news much, but if you Google it, it's bad news. It continues to be bad news. There's 1 million plus people now that have been displaced from their homes by the over 300 active gangs that are working in the country of Haiti and making it very, very difficult for people there. A third of the people there struggle to eat one meal every day. A lot of the schools have not been able to open. We've had one school that's not opened, but I got good news when we get to that part. God has blessed us there. The border with the Dominican Republic continues to be closed. The Dominican government is the one that shut that down because they wanted to kind of control all of that. 95% now, according to the UN, of the capital city is under gang control. And there is no functioning government. So you can imagine living day in and day out in those circumstances. And it's hard. It's hard. I didn't take these pictures. These pictures were not taken by our people, but they were sent to me by some of our people. And this is a region in the Lato Bonite, the central part of the country, where we have at least 2 congregations, and we have members from 2 congregations that were a part of this mass exodus. Now, I can't take a picture and point to you and say, this is our member, but they were in that mass of people. The gangs came into that area, and the people had to flee because they were taking everything. And you think about living like that. And they have lived like this now for several years. You know, COVID came and COVID went, and we kind of went back to normalcy. Well, all of this started for them during that time frame, and they have not returned to normalcy. And it's very, very difficult. We're working now with 37 congregations across primarily central and southern Haiti. And all of those congregations, they range in size from about 25, 30 members to over 300 members. Everything that we do, so everything that I talk about, whether it's the blessing bags or Harry's Home Orphanage or the peanut butter drive or whatever, it's all about Jesus. Everything we do may have another name, but it's all about Jesus. Because if we feed somebody physically, we're just filling their belly if we don't tell them about the bread of life, if we don't tell them about Jesus. And so everything we do is connected to Him and to the truth. You all are involved in the peanut butter drive, have been doing that for many years. Thank you so much for that. This year was a fantastic year. Over $19,000 we raised through the UNA Christian Student Center peanut butter drive. And that's going to supplying over 5,000 pounds of peanut butter. Now, we used to count it in jars. That was back when we had jars and we shipped them down there. Y'all remember that. And but now we count it in pounds because, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And when you can't go to the store and get peanut butter, what do? Well, you just make it yourself. That's what you do. And so that's what they're doing. The churches are doing that. We had one last year that did it. Now we've got two that are doing it, two areas that are using the same machine. So they get the peanuts, they get the machine, they bring all the men get all the peanuts together, and the ladies come together and have a big time going through the peanuts, and they put it through the machine, and they turn out peanut butter, homemade peanut butter in jars. And they're just able to, because we're doing it this way, they're able to provide so much more, that good source of protein for the children to eat. And so you can see that's just, this picture got here just a couple of weeks ago, came to me. You can see that's one church, how many jars of peanut butter they're putting out. That's a lot. That is a lot. And it's good getting to the children down there already. They're beginning to get that and to receive that and to be blessed by that. These came in just this last week. That's another area up in the central part, and they're doing the same thing with making their own peanut butter with those machines. Those machines cost about $960 US. They have 3 growing seasons because of the climate, so they use them for the peanut butter production for when we do this once a year, but that also then gives them a source of peanut butter, and people at the church have a source of income the rest of the year as they can continue to grow peanuts, buy peanuts, and make peanut butter and sell it. You also are part of the Blessing Bag program this past year. This past Christmas, 1,245 children received a blessing bag because of you and people like you. And so we wanted to encourage them to put a toy in there, and they sent pictures with the toys. Also, we were able to include a booklet this time. This is something new that we've done for the children, and it's an invitation. It's the great. We did it ourselves because of logistics, and it's called The Greatest Gift. Well, what's the greatest gift of all? It's Jesus. It's Jesus. So it's a simple little booklet in Haitian Creole about the greatest gift of all, Jesus, and then inviting those children to bring their family, bring their parents and everyone to church to learn more about that. So here's a lot of those children, pictures of those children receiving those gifts. We were able to fly in some bags. They buy all the items for the bags locally, and that just helps the local economies down there and also elevates the profile of the local churches. When a preacher goes out with $1,000 or more in their pocket, that's a lot of money down there. And they want to know, well, who are you? Well, I'm from the local church. Let me tell you about the church. And so it's a win-win-win situation there. So we got kids getting those blessing bags, and thank you so much for that. We have 2 schools that we're part of. This is the one up in the mountains. It has continued to meet because they're so remote. The gangs have not been able to get there. And this is the one, I've shown you a picture of this before. It's a little one-room schoolhouse, 1st through 6th grade. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders are on this side facing this way with the teacher. 4th, 5th, and 6th graders are on this side facing this way with the teacher. And they make it work. And so we're so pleased that it's about 65, 70 kids that are up there receiving an education, and they get Bible every day. So we're thrilled, and that's a multi-purpose building that's used for a church the rest of the time when they're not in school. I said good news on the school. The school at Bonet, which is our largest school, 600 plus students, has been closed for 2 years because of the gangs. Tomorrow, they're going to welcome students back for the first time in 2 years. Teachers were there this past week getting their rooms ready. They were sending me pictures. And we are so excited about this. We don't expect 600 kids on day one because we know that some of the parents are going to be very cautious. And they should be. They know the situation. But we are ready. And our people down there tell us that the area has become safe again, at least in that particular area, to have school again. And Lord willing, there will be kids coming there in the morning, and we hope and pray that they'll be able to continue to have schooling, and more children will come, and we'll get back to the numbers that we used to have. But they've been 2 years in that community with no schooling. Now you think about, I know some of you are educators, you think about the impact that COVID had on our kids here for that short period of time, and we were here because of technology able to do some things. They've had nothing for 2 years. So one of the first things they're having to do is do some testing, kind of see where they're at, see what they lost, and try to figure out, where to go from there. And we've told them, you do whatever you got to do, put them in whatever grade they need to be in. If they're going to be with us a few more years, that's fine. We want to make sure that we take care of them and educate them. So in the past 16 years, and this is our 16th year to be doing this, we've had over 1,700 baptisms. And so those small congregations are doing great evangelistic work. And the people down there are very mobile. A lot of them have moved, gone to other countries, and some of our young preachers get discouraged about that. And I said, oh, that's great. We're sending out missionaries. Y'all just think of it that you're sending out missionaries. Just pour into them, train them, and wherever they go, because of the economy or whatever it may be, they can take that with them, help them find a local congregation and get involved. So that work continues, and we're very, very grateful for the blessings that God has given us there and the work that we're part of there. As I introduced to you last year when I was here, we have also begun, because of necessity and our desire to reach Haitians on the Dominican side, we've gone over now into the Dominican Republic. And we learned through the elders of the church there in the Dominican Republic that there's a large number of Haitians that live to the left of this blue line and to the right of that jagged line. That jagged line is the national border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Now, the border's closed, but for hundreds of years, people have been going back and forth over that border. So there's a lot of folks who are on the Dominican side that are Haitian. And they live in that area because that's the very fertile ground where a lot of the plantations, the coffee plantations, the banana plantations, and farms are at. And so they're there working those. And that area that's highlighted there is the area that we have begun to work in. And God has just blessed us and opened up tremendous doors for that area. We're working with the Nabaw Church of Christ in Nabaw, Dominican Republic. That's the star in red. They have elders, and those elders and that congregation they are so evangelistic. They have started 10 congregations in the last 7 years. And you see the stars there, the purple ones, and many of them are Haitian congregations. And those congregations range in size from about 30 or 40 up to over 300. So they're doing incredible work. And we're trying to come along beside them and say, what do you need? How can we help you? How can we support you? And so, as I reported to you last time, they said we've got a lot of congregations they're self-financing buildings. They're trying to self-fund these. They've run out of money. They need buildings finished. And we said, hey, we got guys who are accustomed to going to Haiti, build teams, and we're not able to go there. We'll come in and help you. So this is the trip that we made last year, October of last year. This is the Posta Rio congregation. It's what it looked like on the left when we got there. On the right is what it looked like when we left. And here is when they had their first assembly in that building. The other congregation was the Los Cocos congregation. If you speak Spanish, that is the coconuts. I know enough Spanish to be dangerous, so don't think I'm fluent in any way, okay? But that's what the congregation looked like, or the building, looked like when we got there, and this is what it looked like when we left. And then we left on a Saturday morning, flying home. They had their first worship on Sunday. They meet at Sunday night a lot of times because they don't have air conditioning because of the heat. It just allows them to better, to stay longer. And they fill the building up, as you can see. So we were able to be blessed by that. We also were able to build almost 80 benches, 78, 75, somewhere in that. We don't think about that, but they walk sometimes great long distances. And there were congregations where people were walking great distances to worship, and they were sitting on rocks. And so our guys said, we got to do something about that. So in between the other work that we did in a week's time, they did this and did a fantastic job. And then those were sent out to churches along the way. We took over 300 Haitian Creole New Testaments and French New Testaments that we had because of Haiti, couldn't get to them. We were able to take those in and loved the opportunity to do that. I show this picture here. This is on the Sunday night. We we arrived, we were there Saturday to Saturday, so we worshiped with two congregations on Sunday. This is the congregation, the Los Cocos congregation, where they've been worshiping for years in someone's front yard. And you can see there, you hadn't worshiped till you sit in the road, really, and cars have just flown by. Horns beeping, music blaring. And those brethren down there never batted an eye because they've done it for so long, it didn't bother them. There was something that was really moving for our group. The picture on the right, you've got an arrow there. You can barely see it, but in the middle of everything is a small white table. And so we had worshiped that morning and taken the Lord's Supper. We got there that evening, and the guys asked me, what do we do about the Lord's Supper? And I said, just take it again, because if we don't take it, they're going to want to know why we didn't take it, and they want to understand it'll be fine. So they start serving communion, and thankfully they served us first. They got about halfway through. The song leader gets back up and starts leading the song. A few of the ladies come out, and they go to that table, and they get the cups, and they get a bowl of water. They didn't have enough cups to go around. And they were using the little plastic cups, you know, the kind we use and throw away. And they washed them, and they refilled them, and then they sat back down, and the song leader wrapped that song up, and the men came back up and got that and finished serving communion. Just went on like nothing had happened. And that moved our group because it was such a small thing, but such a powerful thing. We have so many blessings that we take for granted. And sometimes we don't even pause long enough to be thankful for those small things. It was one great moment for us. I got to tell this story. You know there's a story behind this, right? So we get to the airport. Guy comes and picks us up, and the trip from the airport to where we're going. If you've ever been to the Dominican Republic, we tell people, you ain't been to where we been, probably. It's not the tourist area. So ours is 5, 6, depending on travel, 7 hours away from the airport. We stop about halfway to get something to eat. This guy is standing out here, and he's doing this, and we think, what he's wanting is he's wanting the Americanos to come and give him a little money and take a picture with that big behemoth that he's got there. And so we all go, we get our food, we get back on the bus with the Dominican driver, and we're going down the road. Unbeknownst to us, the Dominican driver and his wife who was with us bought that thing, put it in a box, and put it under the bench of one of the guys in the van, but didn't tell anybody. That thing gets out of the box going down the road. And one of our guys, who's just real level-headed, he says, guys, I hate to bring this up, but there's a big lizard in here. And I looked down, I was in the front, and I looked down, and that thing had come up underneath my seat, and its head was sticking out, and that big old long tongue was going out. And I told the driver, I said, you got to pull over, you got to take care of this. So they pull over, they get it back in the box, they tape it down this time. And so the last time that Austin and I were there in March, the end of March, we asked him, have you still got it, or did you? He said, oh, no. It's our pet. It's our mascot. We still have it. So I hope this time we don't have anything like that when we go in a week. So we're going back, Lord willing, next Saturday. We'll leave this coming Saturday and go down for another trip. This time we'll be working on 2 congregations. This is the Los Covanas congregation. You can see their existing building there. They were over 100. They've gone down to about 30 members. They have a new Haitian preacher. He believes he can build it back up. If he gets it back up to where it was, that building is not big enough for them. It's really a small building. And in addition to, so here's an aerial view of that. That building is the red dot. It's got the red dot on it. You can see some other structures there on that property, kind of to the up and to the left. These are those structures. The former preacher of that congregation is not there anymore, but his wife and his children and the wife's mother, who is totally blind, they live there. That's what they live in. And so we're going to go. Those structures have been removed. She's in temporary housing, And if the Lord allows us, we're going to build a new building, a new church building, which is what they need. Larger building on that lot. And then we're going to take that existing church building and turn that into housing for her and her children and her mother. And so it'll be an upgrade for them. It'll get the church what they need as well. We hope and pray that there's going to be a slab when we get there next week with posts in it. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. We hope so. And then the other place we'll go is the Villa Jaragua congregation. They have an existing building, but they have a flat roof. What do you know about flat roofs? What do flat roofs always do? They always leak, right? This congregation in the rainy season, their roof is so bad sometimes they can't even use their building. And so we hope to go in and put a typical roof on that for them so that they can use their building year-round. And then if the Lord allows, we're going to build some more benches. You can see here, this is another congregation. The picture on the top, in the foreground, in the background, you can see some of those benches that we built from last year. But then in the foreground, you see what they're still sitting on. This is a congregation, when we were there in the end of March, they took us to their new classroom for their children they were so proud of. That's what that picture on the right is. That's their new children's classroom. So proud of that. What's it missing? It's missing chairs. They got kids that are coming to church and they're sitting on rocks. Lord willing, we're going to fix that situation. And then this is a congregation up in the mountains that we visited, and that's some of their benches you can see. And the area, the top right there, they have members who come. They're the ones that are over 300. They're meeting in a 10 by 10 building. So most of the people who come to worship on Sunday are outside that building. Some are sitting on those benches. The others are just either standing up or sitting on the ground there. And if the Lord allows, we'll try to rectify that and provide that. So that's a quick update of what's going on, what God has got us doing, what we're involved in. I remind you that 100% of the dollars that go to this work go to this work. None of us take a salary here in the U.S., not one penny. We don't have anybody in the U.S. on any salary. We're so grateful for your involvement. Thank you, and especially for your prayers. And we ask that you please pray for us as we go this next week. We've got 15 that'll leave Saturday. We'll go from Saturday to Saturday. And as you can see, we have an aggressive agenda. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that anybody might have. Any questions about Haiti or the Dominican Republic or the work in general? Well, the preaching school has not been able to meet in a while. So what we have, that's how we started going to the Dominican Republic. Is when the border was still open, we'd go there and bring the preachers over and train them. And we were doing that, and that was going good, and then they closed the border. So we've done at least one seminar, a Zoom kind of all-day thing, and that was pretty difficult. But we have a software that we've just acquired that is going to allow us to take lessons from here, YouTube, videos that we do, and we have a YouTube channel. We're going to close that channel, have it closed so that just our guys can get to it. We're going to take those videos, dump it in the software, and this AI, I tell you, it is something. This AI is amazing. And so we did one with Ed. We got one of Ed's because Ed's part of our team, and he kind of over our preacher instruction. And so we sent it to our main guy down there and said, what do you think? Because it translated into French, and the AI tried to match up the mouth, and then it listened to how Ed speaks, and the AI, it doesn't sound like a computer, it almost sounds like Ed. And so our guy, he emails back immediately, or pretty shortly thereafter, and he says, when did Ed learn French? And he is so good. It's really, 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 really good French. So we learned from that this is a great, great thing. So we're starting to kind of put that and structure that together for those preachers, and then we want to expand it. Of course, Debbie, my wife, she wants to do something for the ladies, and it'll just grow from there. But something they can watch on their phones and give them some instruction. So we're always trying to help our preachers get more. Any other questions? Well, again, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're not planting our own peanuts yet, but that's next. The next thing we're trying to do is to get that horizontal integration. And now that they're doing this, because we tried this several years ago, never could really get them the idea to click. Now it's catching on. So the next thing we want to do is say, okay, if we were to help you the first year get at least some land, would you grow them? Then, we would use those peanuts, and then you can use the land the rest of the year to take care of your family. Because we have a lot of farmers. We have a lot of members and some of our young preachers who are sharecroppers is really the term that we would understand. That we send peanuts now? No, sir. No, they buy them in Haiti. We wire the money in, and they go and buy the peanuts. What we want to do next is we want them to start growing the peanuts so that we can even do more. We can up the poundage. Yes, sir. Any other questions? They do not get along, except in the church. The Haitians invaded, how much time have I got here? I'll make this real quick. 150 years ago, the Haitians invaded the Dominican side. Haitians were a French colony, Dominicans were a Spanish colony. They invaded, overthrew them, ruled them for about 20 years, and then the Dominicans rose up, threw them out, and ever since then, the Dominicans have hated the Haitians. They even teach in their school system hatred for Haitians. It's part of the public education curriculum in the Dominican Republic. And so that's why we were so excited to find the Naboth congregation where the elders said, no, that's not the way it works in the church. And we were like, you're actually applying it correct. Yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. We agree with you. Now, I will say that in some of the places where those churches have been established and church buildings are used, if it's Dominicans and Haitians, some of them worship together at the same time, some of them have separate services. And the elders at Naboth, they handle all that and they kind of work through that. So that's a process, and they want to get to where it's one congregation meeting one time, not two separate ones. But good question, yeah. Well, in Haiti, they have a parable, a story that they tell. It's a story of a young couple who wanted to buy their first house. Now, in Haiti, even when things were good, you didn't go to the bank and borrow money like you do here. You had to save up all your money to buy the house. And so they're saving their money, and they've got a little bit saved, and a house in the area that they want to live comes up for sale, and they go look at the house, and it's perfect. She says, oh, this is it. This is wonderful. And so they ask the man who has the house for sale, how much is it? And he tells them the price, and they hang their head and turn to walk away. And he said, what's the problem? And they said, well, we don't have that much money. He said, well, how much do you have? And they said, we have less than half of that. And the man said, I'll sell it to you. And they said, really? And he said, yeah, I'll sell it to you. Well, with one caveat. I get to retain ownership of one piece of the house. Just about this big, just a circle. That's it. But it's mine. I get to pick where it is, and it's mine. I can do anything I want to with it. And the couple thought, and that's it? That's all you want, and we get to keep the rest of the house? And he said, yeah. Well, they couldn't believe their luck. And so they gave him the money, and they signed the paper, and they took possession, and they moved in, and they were living their dream. A week or so later, the man comes and he says, I'm here to claim my spot. And the man says, okay, sure, whatever you want. And so he had a bag with him, and he reaches in the bag and he pulls out a hammer and he pulls out a nail. And he says, the spot that I want is this spot right here. And it was the front door facing, right at about eye level. And he took that nail and he drove the nail in. And then he reached in the bag and he pulled out a rope. And attached to the end of that rope was a dead animal. And he took that animal and he began to tie it on that nail. And the young couple said, no, you can't do that. That will smell. That will stink up the house. That will draw all kinds of bugs and insects and wild animals will come. And he said, oh, no. No, that's the deal we had. This is my spot. I can do anything I want to with it. And they said, well, yeah, that's the deal we made. And so he leaves. And sure enough, just as the couple thought, the carcass begins to stink, and the flies and the other bugs come, and at night the wild animals come and tear at it. And finally, after a period of time, the decay process gets to it and it's done. And the young couple thinks, well, finally that's over with. And the next day the man shows back up, and he takes it down, he reaches in his bag, he puts another one up. And he does this over and over and over again until the young couple can take it no more. And they pack up their belongings and they leave their dream house. In Ephesians, Paul is talking to Christians. In Ephesians 4, he's just kind of throwing out a lot of things about, beginning at least in verse 17 forward, Christian living, the Christian life. Verse 25, therefore lay aside falsehood, speak truth each of you with his neighbor, for we're members of one another. Be angry, yet do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. Verse 27, and do not give place to the devil. Depending on your translation, don't give the devil an opportunity. What Paul is saying to the church then and to the church today is, don't make a deal with the devil where you leave him even a spot. Because a spot is all he'll need to destroy your dreams, to destroy your life. And see, we're good people. I know we're good people. You know why I know we're good people? Well, ask us. We'll tell you how good we are. And I mean, we're here on a Sunday night. We could be a lot of places, right? And so we're good folks because we're here on a Sunday night. But if we're not careful, we got a spot. Not a big spot. It's just a little place. Maybe it's a sin that we've struggled with all of our life. And we've fought against it, and we've tried to overcome it, and we can't overcome it. And so we've just pushed it over to the side. Maybe we've begun to say, well, that's just who I am. I guess I'm just going to have to live with that. After all, it's just a little spot. The rest of my life, I'm a good person. Maybe it's a behavior or something that we participate in. And we know that for some people it's a bad thing, but we've got it under control, and it's just that one little spot. It's really not that big of a deal. When you're dealing with the devil, even a tiny spot is a big deal. Because that's all he'll need to ruin our lives and to destroy who we want to be. And in the end, if we're not careful, where we want to live for all eternity. And so I challenge you to think about your life and to pray about that this week. Ask God to show you, is there a spot in my life that I'm ignoring, that I'm making excuses for? God, would you show that to me? Would you reveal that to me? And if there is, I urge you to begin to work on that. If you're here tonight and you're not a child of God, I invite you to talk to somebody here. I know this church is a good church. And are we broadcasting? Are we broadcasting? If you're out there listening online, let me tell you something. If you don't want to know about Jesus, you need to talk to somebody at this church. And here's the thing they're going to do. They're not going to tell you what you need to do. What they're going to do is show you in Scripture and let you read for yourself what you need to do to come into a saved relationship with Jesus and to live for Him. If you're here tonight, something's amiss in your life, maybe you're struggling with a spot. I know this church. They'll love on you. They'll pray for you, pray with you. What need do you have? How can we serve you as we stand and are led in this song?